Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm a Ukrainian. Before the brutal Russian invasion, I would never vlog and I would never start my video with the information I'm Ukrainian. I have so many different things that I do and nationality was never in the center of that. But killing Ukrainians just because they're Ukrainians, Russia persuaded me. It's important. If you want to follow the updates from my country, you support Ukraine, please subscribe and help us fight in this war. And my today's video is going to be very subjective, but I try and I hope I will manage to be very careful not to go into your domestic politics, because that's the worst thing. If a person from outside tries to explain you the things that are happening inside of your country, I respect you very much and I will share just the observations and the warnings that are based on my practical Ukrainian experience. Rule number one, Russia is evil, and it is even more evil than you think about it. If you're not yet subscribed and you agree, please subscribe and press the button so you get the updates from my channel. Russia does not care much about the level of its society, about the streets, about the toilets, about education, about healthcare, but it is very attentive and very professional in the analysis of problems you have in your country. They spend billions of dollars, they spend lots of money and effort to get people, to get spies, to deceive those who may not even understand they are working for Russia, and they collect information that they will use against you. Also, Russia is super professional at looking for triggers and looking for conflicts that exist in any society or that exist between countries that are neighbors. And maybe you have long forgotten or long forgiven these things. Russia will bring it back to you on different forums, via YouTube, via films, via politicians that they fund, politicians that otherwise would have no chances of getting money and support for their campaigns, but with the help of Russian agents, with the help of bloody Russian money, they do it. Within a couple of last weeks, I felt really bad about some comments that I read in the media from Poland. I'm not saying that Ukraine was correct in all the responses, and also we are very closely following the elections in US and doubts that some politicians express in the need to support Ukraine. A kind reminder, it's not just about Ukraine. Believe me, Putin fights with the world. He fights with the collective West, as he likes to call it, and he will never stop if he's not stopped. And Ukraine sacrifices itself. Of course, we don't have any other choice, but believe me, if we fail, he will continue and he will spoil life in your countries. Maybe not directly as in Ukraine, maybe his missiles will not reach your shores, but he will definitely spoil lots of the basic things and values that make your life better at this moment. Why? Because Russia is good at exporting hatred, misery, and problems. They do not spend these billions of dollars that they have to build roads, to change toilets, I don't know, to invest in something. But they spend this money to look for troubles in your society, to make these conflicts hotter, to provoke misunderstandings, to quarrel nations, to polarize societies, and they invest in that because when the world is in chaos, when the world is quarreling, Russia wins. And that's why, from my Ukrainian perspective, I want to remind you one thing. When your countries are going through elections, even in peaceful times, during some short spells of normality that the world had in the 20th century, in the 21st century, elections are always problematic, always dirty. Even if I look inside Ukraine, whenever you get lots of bad articles, lots of this stuff, it means like elections are taking place. And many of us are waiting for them to stop, and then newspapers, I don't know, even your Facebook will offer you more normal, adequate stuff. But elections are dirty, and perhaps that's the way politics is. I know many of you advise me to go into politics, but I feel like culture, literature, and YouTube are more of my cup of tea. thank you for buying me coffees. So anyway, and when the world goes through really difficult periods, as it was like after COVID pandemics, then wars and war in Ukraine, politics becomes even worse, and Russia uses that. So my request is, please be careful, be rational. Remember that people sometimes say things they don't really mean, but they want to be liked, or they are fighting for the support, or they are quarreling on the emotions. And that's actually one of the reasons why I did not speak much about Ukraine, Poland, because for me, Poland is a great friend. I do understand there are things that are wrong between our countries. There are things that we do wrong. There are things that they interpret wrong. But in general, our friendship, our support means a lot, and it is the key to survival in this part of the world, both for Ukraine and Poland. And the same is about the United States and many, many other beautiful countries who value human life, who value choice, who value freedom. And we have to concentrate on that. That is what Russia does not have. And by drawing our attention to some minor problems, to some minor conflicts and misunderstandings that can be discussed later, can be forgotten, or they do not decide actually whether you continue supporting each other and living together. It's just like a family quarrel. Russia tries to spread the fire, aggression, hatred. And if we're separated, it's much easier to win over us, and that's what we don't want. And a kind reminder from an experienced Ukrainian, this is a civilizational war. This is a war against democracy. This is Russian war against freedom of choice. This is the war between democratic countries and authoritarian regimes. Look who supports Russia. It's Iran. It's North Korea. It's, in a hybrid way, China. These are authoritarian regimes, and if they win, we are in great trouble if we actually exist. So my main Ukrainian message is, take it easy. These are elections. There are lots of emotional things that will happen around us, but we have to remain united and remember that evil that Russia brings is definitely worse than any of the minor problems we experience. And if we fail and authoritarian regimes win, that's a bad planet. Hope you understand what I mean. I do feel depressed sometimes. Well, like, depressed is a strong word, but then I'm Ukrainian, and as a Ukrainian you can be depressed. Like, I feel anxious, I feel worried when I read articles, when I read remarks, when I read aggressive jokes, when I see that not all people understand. It is not a war for Ukrainian territories. It is a war of Russia against the democratic world. And they do everything they can to shake us, to separate us, and to eat us one by one. Let's not do it, and let's witness together the fall of the Putin's regime. Subscribe if you want to witness the fall of the Putin's regime. Introduce yourself to our beautiful merch, conversation starters. Our t-shirts are perfect conversation starters. There is a special Halloween collection which has a meaning in this war too. Subscribe to my Threads Twitter and join my Discord, and I'm pretty active on Instagram. Thank you so much for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons, and advise your friends and people who care about Ukraine, subscribe, because there is not enough information about Ukraine on YouTube. But thank you for being friends of my channel, and Slava Ukraini!